everyone, welcome to another episode of your pre-recorded video presentation. This is Jivy Palar Gorpio giving you the best learning online. So come on, grab your pen and paper, join me as we start. Now I will be discussing the continuation report of Part 3, Teaching Methods for Science Teaching in the Elementary School. Letter B, Supplementary Method under the use of instructional aids, which is the modules. Educators certainly understand very well about the meaning of learning module, which serve as a guide in teaching in class. The definition of the learning module itself is quite diverse because each expert provides its own definition. So in teaching activities, educators have many choices of teaching media. This media is a tool for teachers to be able to convey material properly and correctly, namely coherent, easy to understand, and also convey clearly. One of the teaching media commonly used by teachers, especially teachers from among teachers, is the learning module. The definition of a module is simply defined as a form of teaching resource. Modules are compiled by a group or individual learning, which is then arranged in a neat systematic manner. Furthermore, it will be printed. The printed results are then used as a guide for the teaching staff as well as for the students. Now, there are disadvantages and advantages of modular learning. So the first disadvantages of modular learning is that not all students do their modules wholeheartedly. Yes, this is 100% true. Most students do their modules for formality purposes. It is very devastating in part of the teacher to know that students are taking modules for granted. The truth is, teachers don't have the ability to foresee their students in the premises of their homes. The second disadvantages of modular learning is that some parents spoil their children and do the deed instead of their children. So many parents spoil their children by doing the modules all by themselves. So parents are the ones who should inculcate the value of patience to their children. So some of the parents hire tutors for their children and the tutors answer all the modules. But some students tend to copy their answers from the others without reading the module. So students are now teach enough and they use it to their advantage. So they make group chats on their own, as pass the answers from one to another and copy it. So this sounds very obvious because even during face-to-face classes, students do it all the time. So the next is, many students said they actually never learn from the modules. Yes, this is very true and sad at the same time. More students say that they didn't understand much what is in the modules. They even have difficulty in understanding lessons during face-to-face. Modules are for formality costs and not internalized by the students. For formality costs only. So students suppose should understand their modules, but the opposite reigns. It is more difficult if the parents as well can teach or answer the queries of their own children. The reality may be so devastating, but it is also the truth. Only time can tell when this pandemic ends. So the present situation may be annoying, but let us motivate ourselves to still stick to our goals. Education should not be stagnant because of this pandemic. So now let's proceed to the advantages of modular learning. So the pandemic is almost a year now, and yet it is still spreading nonstop in the country. The educational sector at its most is one of the major importance aside from the economy. Amidst the pandemic, learning should not stop, and so students still learn. So this is the first advantages of modular learning. So the first one is learning continues depending on the student's willingness to accept change. So there are more students who learn from the modules because they are open-minded. There are those who are willing to accept changes and are flexible enough to handle their lessons. The entire pandemic is a challenge to them to still learn their lessons from their modules. The next advantages is that parents realize their role as it is very important in education. This is the time where the parents realize that teaching is never easy. They tend to observe the feeling that they become the teachers now that this pandemic is looming. Those parents that realize these are those who are optimistic and flexible as well. They don't blame the teachers for this at all. So the third advantages in modular learning is that students learn to value their time. So the students learn time management and scheduling. So many students nowadays find it fulfilling to manage their time in doing the modules. So the next is modular learning teach the students values, not specific lessons which is repetitive. There are actually lessons which are not found in the modules, but the students learn this pandemic. These are the values of making an effort, time management, discipline, and experimentation. They also build their relationships with their parents from it. Patience as well is evident in the making. So the last advantages in modular learning is that the teachers amidst the busy schedule find their way to challenge. So most teachers think of this pandemic as a challenge for them. It is time when they tend to put all their time and effort in doing their modules into a realization. So in every hardship, there is always a positivity that waits. It depends on the people involved on how to open their minds and make it a bright side of life. In conclusion, a learning module is a presentation that can be used by instructors in helping the learners to understand more clearly the topic that is being taught. In addition to that, the learning module is a very important tool that can be used by instructors in a bid to increasing the effectiveness of the learning process towards the students.